Hey there, Rebecca Williams with Leslie King Realty. Today I'm going to talk to you on my educational series about a portion of the sales contract that tends to confuse people a little. So there are two separate fees at the beginning of a contract called the earnest money and the option fee. Most people have heard of the earnest money, but they don't always understand fully or know that the option period and option period fee exists. So I'm going to kind of hopefully clear up a little bit of that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, let me know. But again, the more information you know, the better you're going to be able to handle a real estate transaction, because it can be somewhat stressful. You're dealing with finances. Okay. So earnest money is the money that you pay to open escrow through the title company, through all the funding and filtering we'll go through. Most of the time it's going to credit to you as the buyer at closing. If you choose, you can have what's called an option period. I've had a couple people waive that this year because the way this market is, the seller's market, they knew for sure that they were, no matter what came up on inspection, which is also highly recommended but optional, they knew for sure they were going to purchase this property regardless what came up on inspection, and they waived that option period. If you aren't in a position or don't feel comfortable doing that, the option period is a time frame that you would negotiate with a seller as a buyer to give the seller a fee for a certain amount of days, in which that would be when you would do your inspections, repair negotiations, if any, or sales price. I mean, there's a lot of different things that kind of can take place during the option period. But what it does is, let's say, just to give an example so that it makes it more understandable, is let's say the option period is $250 and they want 10 days option period. Up until the 10th day, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, they would have unwavering right for any reason whatsoever to terminate that contract. Now, if they do that, the option fee will go to the seller. If they don't do that and they go all the way to closing, most of the time that fee will credit to them with their closing costs along with the earnest money. So this is what kind of gets confusing to people. If they do back out, that fee would go to the seller. If they don't, sometimes, I mean, you can actually offer it to the seller, but for the most part, it typically will credit to the buyer at the closing table. So what you're doing, you can negotiate that time frame. You can negotiate the fee. And the seller, it helps the seller feel a little bit more solid about signing a contract with you as a buyer, because you have a little skin in the game and maybe you won't back out. So the higher, lately this year, because the market's been so crazy and you're in multiple offer situations, we used to be very standard for $100 for 10 days. And now that money has gone up. If you want your offer to stand out, you can offer any fee that you want to. You just have to be willing to lose that fee. But if this is a property that you are very solid on, that you want this home, that really can make a seller, it will stand out to a seller what you offer on that fee. Also a shorter time period, because the faster you go to pending status, everybody, buyers, sellers, all parties can go, real estate agents and lenders can all go, okay, we can breathe a little bit. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because people tend to get the two confused. Now, while you can pay one fee to title to cover both, if something should happen to that contract before we get through the option period, the title company disperses those funds out to the respective parties. So most of the time, if you terminate in the option period as a buyer, you're going to get your earnest money back, but you would lose the option period fee. So I hope that's not too confusing. If you have any questions, be sure and ask me. To be honest, when you're explaining it, there's so many moving parts that it's not always the easiest task to explain, but it's important to know that it exists, because it is a point of negotiation, typically as much as the sales price, to be honest with you, because I've seen people ask for an exorbitant amount of time and a seller's like, hey, no way, we're not going to do that. We are losing, because the seller has skin in the game on that deal, because they lose market days when someone haphazardly may or may not want to buy the property. So there's a lot of things involved there. If you want to write a good solid contract, you're going to have to know and understand this option period, because it affects both sides, both parties, can make your offer more attractive to do certain things with it. And it's just good to know that it exists, because it is a big negotiation point on a contract, and I want you guys to understand it a little better. So ask me any questions, reach out to me, and hopefully I made this clear as mud for you. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. Thanks so much for watching my series. And again, let me know if there's something in particular you have a question about, and I'll make a video about it. Thanks so much, y'all. Bye.